Is everybody ready to hear our wonderful guest speaker? I have been wanting to have this man. He doesn't even know that. I've been after him.
I knew there was some woman that had been after me.
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't know
me
who
all that time.
It was you.
I was pretty sneaky with it. Anyway, this is Alan Doswald. Some of you know him or know of him. I thought particularly for our type of group and the work that we do, and we've had such a wonderful session here today, Alan, in terms of our caring for people, that I wanted to introduce you, so I'm going to be using his words that he describes himself, but
You don't have to call me His Holiness. I changed my mind.
yeah. Well, that's it. That's interesting because on the phone he told me just introduce me as the king. So I crossed that one off. This is Alan Doswald, Executive Director of the Evangelical for Social Action, which is also /Love Inc. Fresno. He was raised in Fresno, graduated from Fresno, state of California in Fresno, with a bachelor's degree in sociology. He's an ordained minister, and he and his wife, Bev, have 2 grown children. He served at the Youth for Christ in Fresno in the 70s up until 1982, and from 1982 till the present as the ESA/Love Inc. CEO, I would call you, right?
No, that's if I was in business making money. It's executive director.
Executive director, that's what I said, right, and founder, sorry. Okay, the mission of ESA is to mobilize Christian churches and individuals to transform lives, which is what we do, hopefully, and communities in the name of Christ. Through the years, the Lord has led ESA to develop more than 50 local ministries and movements, including ministries to and this will be something we can focus on, the needy, the elderly, the refugees, the disabled, the homeless, those with medical or dental needs, those in high-crime apartments, rural farm worker towns, and neighbors needing God's love. Local movements have included ministry coalitions, pastor prayer summits, weekly prayer meetings, no-name fellowship, missions networks, city builders roundtable, etc. For 15 years, Alan has served as a consultant for World Vision, where he has helped over 35 cities develop Love Inc. ministries. No tawdry work here. Alan recently published a book entitled Pray and Do the Next Thing.
Oh, I just happen to have some flyers about the book.
About following the Lord to change lives and communities. He's been a minister for over 45 years in the Fresno area. Please give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, everyone's going to have to sit up to this table, or it's going to be very difficult to pass out materials, and I have several things. Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll handle stuff.
Okay. You can put it in the plane and throw it. Okay, Stevens Ministries. I've heard about this probably 25 years ago when I was in Chicago once at a conference. But I don't know why you call it Stephen's ministry. He was the first martyr in the Bible. Are you guys all going to be martyrs or what?
He was charged with caring for widows and orphans.
Okay, it's when they had the dispute between the Greeks and the Jewish people, and then they put Stephen. Oh, that's what I usually think of Stephen as the martyr, not as the servant. So, okay, that makes sense.
We're servants, not martyrs.
That's good. You will not come up to this table, will you?
Oh, you what?
Well, it's just going to, I guess you can pass things around. That's fine. That's fine. I just took the DISC test, and I am very dominant, so I'm sorry. I'm going to start by talking about the resources Love Inc. uses. And then I'm going to talk about Christian resources in the community. And then I'm going to talk about other resources in the community, 3 different sources. This is what Love Inc. does. Love Inc. means love in the name of Christ. It was started in 1976 in Holland, Michigan. We started in Fresno in 1986. There are 160 cities in the United States that have Love Inc. And it's also in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and Kenya, Africa. it spread to those other countries because for 15 years, Love Inc. was the U.S. Ministry of World Vision. And when we started our Love Inc. in '86, got a $9,000 grant from World Vision to help get started, they were very interested, so they wanted to meet with me. I said, you need to meet with the national director in Michigan. And the next year, Love Inc. went under World Vision for 15 years, and then it separated out. It was all friendly, but it really didn't fit World Vision enough anymore, so it separated out and became a national ministry, a separate national ministry. I would call Love Inc. A network of caring churches who use a clearinghouse strategy to meet needs in their community. We used to call it a clearinghouse. And then someone pointed out to me, a clearinghouse is just this little place. A network of caring churches, that's the point, is churches that care and ministries that care, and the clearinghouse is the tool we use to connect people to them. So that's why I was asked to come and talk about resources, because we connect people in need every day. Love Inc. has been going since '86. So that's what, 31 years Love Inc. has been going, where we've been connecting people in need with churches and ministries. So this is how it works. People often come to a church and say, I need $100, I need $50, I need to get to LA by tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock or I'll lose my new job. Can you help me? Well, should they help? Is the need real? It's a lose-lose situation for churches, because if they help them, they feel guilty, and if they don't help them, they feel guilty. So now all they have to do is say, take one of these cards and say, call Love Inc. We'll screen the need. We'll see if they've ever called before. Some people have called 10 or 15 times before. We'll find out what's going on. We'll find out what the need is. We'll make all the phone calls. And then, if we need to, we'll call that church or some other church to meet the need after they... Churches are very willing to meet needs that are real. They just don't want to throw money down a rat hole. Or, if someone's a drug addict, and I give you money, I'm actually hurting you by giving you money. It's not neutral. Because you look like a major drug addict to me, I don't know. So anyway, so is their need real? Should our church help them? When I started Love Inc. in 1986, I wanted to get the pastors to come to a meeting. You might have come to that meeting, Joe. And so I sent them a letter. It's Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock. Someone just came into your office, said he needs $30 to fix his car. Does he really have a car? Does he need the 30? Should you help him? Love Inc. can solve this problem. 120 pastors came to that meeting. It was the largest pastors' meeting we've ever had in Fresno, because that's something they face all the time. So Love Inc. not only meets the needs of the people in need, but also meets the needs of the church, so they can meet real needs. People are referred to Love Inc. It's telephone clearinghouse only. They don't come to our office. If someone comes to our office, we'll hand them one of these cards and say, this is the business office. You need to call our clearinghouse, and we'll give them one of these. People are referred to Love Inc. from churches, agencies, direct client contact. People hear about us, or 211, which is a fairly new resource the last 3 or 4 years. It's run by United Way, but it's Fresno County Information Referral Network. So people call Love Inc. We have volunteers, and we need more. In case any of you aren't busy enough with Stephen's ministry, let me know. We analyze the nature, extent, and legitimacy of the need, identify a helping resource, or more than one. Sometimes there'll be 4 or 5 different resources to meet the person's need. Because we ask them 50 questions when they come for the intake form, we can find out other needs they have too. And hopefully, we'll find the deeper needs. If someone has a slashed arm and they're bleeding, a Band-Aid, the Band-Aid they're asking for isn't going to solve their need. They need to get to the hospital. They need to get deeper help. So some people will call for one thing. We'll find out they need a budget, not just money for food. They need a budget so they can get food next month on their own, for instance. So identify the helping resource, connect the person in need with the appropriate resources. If a church is needed, we'll call the church contact person, who has already organized people in their church in about 15 areas, and I'll give you those areas here, of service. They might be a plumber, They might be a builder. They might be whatever. And call the contact person, they call the volunteer, and they contact the family and help them. Or it could be an agency or a church program, church food pantries, clothing, ministries, etc. One thing about Love Inc. is we don't help people. We mobilize churches to help people. There's only one Love Inc. There are 500 churches in Fresno. So if we really want to help people in need, once we become a food pantry, that's it. We can't do any more. But at the current, someone asked me recently, does Love Inc. have a food pantry? I said Love Inc. has 60 food pantries and 40 monthly food distributions. All that food is free. If we were a food pantry, we would have, we have one food pantry. See, so the whole idea, this was developed when the church kept asking Virgil, the national founder, in 76 back in Holland, Michigan, hey, will you do this? Hey, you're good at that, why don't you do this? And then one church say, would you do our evangelism program? He goes, stop, that's it. And he started this whole ministry to help lay it on the church, for the church to do their job. They're the they are the largest company in the city. I wrote an article in Christianity Today in 2005 called The Largest Company in the City. This company has 500 branch offices, 100,000 employees. That's a huge business. Nothing comes close to it. Phil Hinton, they had a community hospitals. They are the largest company in the city, they think. And I asked Phil one time when we went to church together, I said, Phil, do you think Fresno Community Medical Centers is larger than the church network in town? He goes, no. The churches dwarf community medical centers. That's what he said. So we have a huge resource. So we can send that to church food pantries, clothing ministries, etc. We call every church every 2 years and find out, do a church survey and find out every type of ministry or support group they have for people. We have Stephen's ministry down, I'm sure, in our records for this church. We can call HSS. The government keeps changing it. It used to be welfare department. There was DSS, HSS, but that's welfare department. Salvation Army Catholic Charities, we use them when needed. Specialized needs, we can send people there. Or we also have our Hope Network. And every time someone calls Love Inc., they are asked, can I pray for you right now? By our volunteers. They're also asked, would you like a church person in your area of the city come and visit you? And if they say yes, then it goes to the Hope Network and they do a follow-up call. Several people have been led to Christ through the Hope Network because they can call them. They already had their need met. We got them food or whatever. And now they can call them and talk about their life and why they need food, what their situation is. And then we connect them to churches. So that's how Love Inc. works. So that's what I'm saying there is one of the first places you can refer someone is Love Inc. And that's the phone number. And just last week, we now have the ability to text needs in and receive needs like that. So that's Love Inc. This will tell you more about how to make referrals to Love Inc. This will tell you kind of some of the things we help with. We don't help with PG&E or other utility bills. We don't help with funeral expenses. Let me just say, if we lived in North Dakota, we'd probably help with PG&E because they'd freeze to death if we didn't, but they're not going to in Fresno. So we don't help with those. We don't help with funeral expenses. We don't help with transportation to funerals. And we don't help with motel costs. We ran into a problem, or we anticipated running into a problem because we'd have a man and a woman want us to put them in a motel and they're not married, which is very common, you may have noticed these days. And so I established a few years ago what I refer to as the shack up policy for Love Inc. And I told our volunteers, we don't help people, we don't house people unless they're married. If they have children, we'll give them food. So they have food for the children, but we're not going to pay. And I lost 2 or 3 volunteers who were so far into our culture, they thought there was nothing wrong with us paying for people to live together out of wedlock. There are alternatives. Anyone that goes to the rescue mission, there's a doorbell 24 hours a day if it's closed. And they will house the woman here and the man here, and then they'll see how they can help them and so forth. So there's no reason for it anyway. So we don't hesitate to say, the INC means in the name of Christ. We're a Christian ministry, and we're supported by Christian churches that wouldn't want us to pay for people to live in a motel if they're not married. We don't hesitate to say you're sinning. It's wrong. It will hurt you. We can help you. I'll help you find a minister if you want to get married. A friend of mine, Doug Lanier, has married several people under that kind of situation, that if you really want help and want to get married and stuff, then we can help you do that. Note, agencies can contact our business number so this is our office number where I work, the office where I work, and this other one down here is our clearinghouse number. That's where people in need call. So if you had questions about ESA or Love Inc., you call the 0105 number. You refer people here. Telephone clearinghouse only. We are open 9 to noon, 1 to 4, Monday through Friday, but anytime a person calls, they will be referred to the 211 number, and the 211 number is 24/7. And we had myself and my staff had a really good tour of the rescue mission last week, and it's fantastic what the rescue mission does, working with the Poverello across the street. You know, all the flap about the homeless. I've gone to almost all the homeless conferences, the interfaith liberal ones and the biblical ones through the years, and I almost considered it the unsolvable problem. Because we treat animals better than we treat people. If we see a dog or cat laying under a bush, we'll pick it up and take it to the pound and give it water and food till it's healthy, but we'll leave people there to die. Or we'll think we're doing a good thing and give them sleeping bags and give them food, and then they'll die with sleeping bags and food, because you can't live outside like that, and you die many years earlier than if you were in a home or apartment. So this new law is wonderful. People, I went to the city council meeting when people were saying, why are you criminalizing the homeless? If you rob a bank, you're a criminal. I don't criminalize you by arresting